Hey y'all, Anna here with a short video about academic references. We're going to cover three main topics. First, we'll talk about academic journals and why they matter. Next, we'll go into detail about citation managers, how they can help, and how I personally use them. And finally, and most importantly, we'll talk about the politics of citations and what to think about when you're pulling together a reference list. Let's get started. In this week's module, you have a resource called List of Education Research Journals. Check it out. It contains links to some popular and reputable education journals. You might be asking, why should I look at an individual journal when I could just use the TC Super Search and look at all of the journals at once? Here's why. It's instructive to know what's being published generally, what journals publish what types of research, and who the emerging experts in a field are. You get a sense of what each journal's publishing, and you get to read the cutting-edge ideas that are just coming out right now. And it can help you know where to send your writing when it comes time for you to publish. As you peruse a journal, take a moment to notice. What methods are folks using? And what theories are they grounding their research in? Are the articles in a journal mostly empirical? Are they analytical? Or are they a mix? And do you find any normative articles in the publication? Next, let's talk about citation managers. A citation manager is a tool that helps you keep track of articles and books as you find them, and you can use it to tag and annotate articles, and create accurate citations and bibliographies using Word, Google Docs, or any other writing software. TC has licenses for students for EndNote and Zotero, which you can download from the Student Resources tab of the MyTC website. I'll admit, it feels hard to start using a citation manager. It's more work up front, but it actually saves a ton of time and headache at the back end of your writing process. While it's not a requirement of this class, it's a great idea to get in the habit of using one. I'm going to talk to you about EndNote because that's what I use myself. I'll give you a quick overview, but if you want to get into the specific details of how to download and use EndNote, check out the TC Tech Fellows tutorial that's linked in Canvas. So, this is what EndNote looks like. I'm showing you my EndNote library about critical race theory and integration. Citations in EndNote are stored in libraries, and you can have different libraries for different projects, or for each of your classes, or really in any structure you'd like. It shows you all the citation information, like author, year, and article title. You can search for sources directly from EndNote, but I like to use the TC Super Search instead. Again, check out that Tech Fellow tutorial to learn how to use the EndNote search function. To add a source from the Super Search, I'll just search for critical race theory and integration and hit search. When I find a source that looks good, I'll download it by clicking on the three dots here and selecting EndNote to download the reference and open the file. It takes me to the recently added section of my EndNote, and from here I can drag it directly into a library. The best part about EndNote is the Cite While You Write feature. Once you have EndNote installed, you can insert citations directly to your paper. To do this in Word, go to EndNote in your toolbar, which will appear after you install the software. Hit Insert Citation, search for an author or the title of an article, whatever you need to find what you need, and hit Insert. Your in-text citation will appear, and so will a reference at the end of your paper. Note that they don't always come out of the box ready to use. Did you notice the APA formatting error on the citation I just showed you? When I downloaded that reference from the Super Search, the title of the article had every word capitalized, but in APA, only the first word of a title and any proper noun should be capitalized, so always watch out. Finally, while we're on the topic of references, let's talk about the politics of your citation list, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. I want to start this conversation by reading the paragraph that brought my attention to the politics of citations for the first time. But if we're going to be reading, we had better get comfortable. Come on. Welcome to my favorite reading spot. The passage we're going to explore is from my very favorite book and the knowledge guide that I brought with me to our first class meeting together, Living a Feminist Life by Sarah Ahmed. For context, this passage is in the introduction of the book, and she's reflecting on her own experience as a queer woman of color enrolled in a critical theory PhD program. This passage is a little long, but worth it, so hang with me. On page 15, she writes, When I was doing my PhD, I was told I had to give my love to this or that male theorist, to follow him, not necessarily as an explicit command, but through an apparently gentle but increasingly insistent questioning. Are you a Derridean? No. So are you a Lacanian? Oh, no, okay. So are you a Deleuzian? No. Then what? If not, then what? Maybe my answer should have been, if not, then not. I was never willing to agree to this restriction, but to not agree with this restriction required the help of other feminists who came before me. If we can create our paths by not following, we still need others before us. In this book, I adopt a strict citation policy. I do not cite any white men. And by white men, I'm referring to an institution, as I explained in Chapter 6. Instead, I cite those who have contributed to the intellectual genealogy of feminism and anti-racism, including work that has been too quickly, in my view, cast aside or left behind. Work that lays out other paths we call desire lines, created by not following the official paths laid out by disciplines. These paths might have become fainter from not being traveled upon, so we might work harder to find them. We might be willful just to keep them going by not going the way we've been directed. My citation policy has given me more room to attend to those feminists who came before me. Citation is feminist memory. Citation is how we acknowledge our debt to those who came before, those who helped us find our way when the way was obscured because we deviated from the paths we were told to follow. I share this passage to shake up the way you think about your citations. Who do you cite, and who do they cite? Whose ideas are influencing your thinking? Whose voice is missing? And what would your discipline look like without what Ahmed calls the institution of white men? If you want to read more about the politics of citation, start with the Inside Higher Ed article linked in this module. Thanks, and I'll see y'all on Monday.